إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله بعد. Today we talk about the chapter titled ما جاء في المصورين, what is said about image makers. عن أبي هريرة رضي الله عنه قال قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم قال الله تعالى ومن أظلم ممن ذهب يخلق كخلقي فليخلق ذرة أو ليخلق حبة أو ليخلق شعيرة. Narrated in Bukhari and Muslim on the authority of Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu that he said, the Prophet ﷺ said in a hadith Qudusi. Hadith Qudusi is a hadith that the Prophet ﷺ narrates on behalf of Allah. It's something that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, but not in the Quran. It's through the tongue of Muhammad ﷺ. This is the meaning of hadith al-Qudusi. So he ﷺ said that the Prophet ﷺ Abu Hurairah said that the Prophet ﷺ said that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, and who is more unjust than one who thinks that he creates as I create. Let them create a grain, let them create a seed, let them create a barley grain. This is narrated by Bukhari and Muslim. So this is referring to trying to imitate the creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by creating objects that look like things that have a soul in this world. Things that have a soul. Okay, this does not mean creation of things like buildings, like cars, like mountains. You know, it's creation of some things that have a soul. That's the one that is forbidden, like an image of a person, an image of a bird, etc. ولهما عن عائشة رضي الله عنها أن رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم قال أشد الناس عذابا يوم القيامة الذين يضاهئون بخلق الله. From Aisha رضي الله عنها said that the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم said the people punished the most severely on the day of judgment are those who imitate Allah's creating. This is narrated by Bukhari and Muslim. ولهما عن ابن عباس رضي الله عنهما سمعت رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يقول كل مصور في النار يجعل له بكل صورة صورها نفس يعذب بها في جهنم. So the hadith that we just saw before this, the Prophet ﷺ said that the people that are going to have the most punishment on the day of judgment are those that try to imitate the creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, making images of things that have a soul. Also in this hadith from Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhuma, he said, I heard Allah's Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam saying, every maker of pictures is in the fire. Every picture that he makes will be given a soul that he will be punished by in Jahannam. So every picture that he makes is going to be given a soul. He's going to be told to blow the soul into this picture, and he's not going to be able to blow it, and that's going to be his punishment. ولهما عنه مرفوعا من صور صورة في الدنيا كلف أن ينفخ فيها الروح وليس بنافخ. Also on the authority of Bukhari and Muslim, and obviously these are, when we say Bukhari and Muslim, this is what is called muttafaq alayh. It's the highest level of authenticity of a hadith. The Prophet ﷺ said, whomever makes a picture in the world, he will be responsible for blowing a soul into it, and he will not be able to blow the soul in it. The last hadith in this section is in Sahih Muslim. لمسلم عن أبي الهياج قال قال لي علي رضي الله عنه ألا أبعثك على ما بعثني عليه رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم ألا تدع صورة إلا طمستها ولا قبرا مشرفا إلا سويته. In Sahih Muslim is narrated from Abu al-Hayyaj, who said, Ali radiallahu anhu said to me, so Ali radiallahu anhu said to this companion Abu al-Hayyaj, shall I not dispatch you with a mission that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's messenger sent me with? So the Prophet sent Ali radiallahu anhu on a mission. And Ali radiallahu anhu is asking Abu al-Hayyaj, do you want me to send you on a mission similar to that the Prophet sent me on? And that is, do not leave any picture without wiping it. Do not leave any picture without wiping it. And not an elevated grave without leveling it. Not an elevated grave without leveling it. So basically, we start from the end of these ahadith, which is leveling the graves. The graves have always been a reason for people to worship others besides Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And therefore, in Islam, what is allowed to do in the grave is to bury the person and put a small mold of dirt on top of the grave, and maybe put a stone at the head so that you can mark where the head is. Okay, so everything that we see today in Muslim cemeteries, people building up graves, put in marble, put in light and everything, this is nothing but the imitation of the enemies of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and this is haram, this is haram, this is haram. If you want to know the exact way that a grave has to be done, look at the Baqi' al-Gharqad in al-Madinah Nabawiyah. That's how Muslim graves have to be. Okay, so, and obviously when we want to bury someone, the emotions are high usually, and there's always infighting among the family members between those that know this instruction and try to obey Allah, and those who are just emotional and ignorant. So many family members, there's infighting. Stand your ground. If you are the one who's responsible for the deceased person, don't build on it. Don't see to the pressure. Okay? Because people, they're just ignorant, they're emotional, they just think that if you don't build the grave, that you're not honoring the dead. You tell him you honor the dead by obeying Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala may forgive this that person. As far as images are concerned, now obviously there are different scholarly opinions about certain things and agreement about certain things. Statues, obviously, statues are haram. There is an agreement about this. To make a statue of something that has a soul. Let me qualify that. To make a statue of something that has a soul, a human being, bird, lion, this is haram. Okay? Mummified animals are not haram. As Shaykh Al-Albani rahimahullah stated, mummified animals. Like, people who go hunting, they hunt a lion, they mummify it, it stands like a real lion. This is not haram, because this is not an image. This is an actual creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Okay? So statues are haram. Statues of things. Whether you worship them, whether it's for decoration, it is haram. Also, hanging pictures in the house. This is also, there's agreement among the scholars that it's haram. Hanging pictures in homes. Why? Because the Prophet ﷺ, he came to his house and he saw that Aisha anha had a curtain, which is a curtain, it's sudi, curtain, fabric, with an image of an animal. So he ﷺ got angry, he ripped it, and he told her that two things, that the people that make these images are the people that are going to be punished severely in the hereafter. He also told her that houses that have these pictures, the angels do not enter this house. So a person asked me, okay, Sheikh, why do I need the angels to be in my house? I told him, because if it's not the angels, it's shayateen, so you choose which one you want to be in your house. Angels don't enter the house if there's an image or there's a statue. Okay? So don't hang an image. Now, question arises is kids' books, for example. Most kids' books or other books have images, right? What do we do with those? Well, you try to hide them as much as possible, right? So if you put them face down so that the picture is not showing, okay? Ittaqullah mastata'tum. Obey Allah as much as you can. Also, some scholars said that if the picture does not show something that would be alive, it's allowed. For example, so again, this is difference of scholarly opinion. If, for example, you have only a face, some scholars said, well, a person cannot live with a face only. You need the whole body, so this is halal. But again, this is a difference in opinion. The other question is, what happens to pictures of some religious scholars that we see their pictures, for example, on Facebook or on other mass media? We say that these scholars may be among the ones that believe that taking pictures, digital pictures, is allowed. Because again, printing pictures and making statues, this is haram. But digitally speaking, there's difference of opinion. Some scholars said that as long as you, like Ibn Uthaymin rahimahullah said, as long as you take a picture in a digital instrument, that cannot be considered a picture because it's not always there. It's like having a mirror, because he said for you to have that picture, you need to have a battery, that means electricity, you have to turn on the phone, you have to do a lot of things to access this picture. This is the opinion of Ibn Uthaymeen rahimahullah. Ibn Baz rahimahullah said that this is categorically haram. Even taking videos of him giving lectures. He did not want to say that it's halal, but the correct opinion, Allah knows best, is that if there is a valid religious reason to take a video or a picture, then we can do that. So for example, if we want to document the atrocities of the enemies of Allah and what they're doing to the Muslims, so of course you must take videos of those things so that you can prove these atrocities. If there is a lesson going on, sometimes people, if they just listen to the lesson, they may be bored. But if they look at the sheikh and listen at the same time, then this is allowed. This is the categories where it's allowed. Now, of course, when we talk about this, we have to make a side note that for women, we have to tell them that if you listen to lessons, try to listen and not look at the sheikh. The sheikh remains a man and she remains a woman. And especially when it comes to this, many women, they go overboard with this and they just fall in love with the sheikh. So they listen to him all the time. You think that it's because of his scholarly opinion, but it's because he looks good. This actually has happened, and there are problems between husbands and wives. Sometimes they happen because of this. So for women, if they listen to shuyukh and look at them, let them listen without looking, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَقُلِ الْمُؤْمِنَاتِ يَغْضُضْنَ مِنْ أَبْصَارِهِنْ. Tell the believing women to lower their gaze. And obviously the eye is the door to the heart. And as the Prophet ﷺ said, that it is one of the arrows of shaitan, the looks. So when you look at something, I mean, it's normal. Look at Yusuf alayhi salam. I mean, he was a good-looking prophet. He's the most handsome prophet. As the Prophet ﷺ said, Allah created beauty and He gave health to Yusuf alayhi salam. And the women were actually they were put through fitna because of his beauty alayhi salam and his handsomeness. So don't think that women are any different from men. The same way men have desires, women have desires, except that women usually, they are coy about it, they are shy about it, they hide it. So therefore, when it comes to this, we have to give the side note that women, when they listen to the shuyukh, try to listen without watching, because with successive and daily watching of the same man, these women may actually start to feel some inclination towards this person. Even though this person may be somewhere else, they may never reach them, but what the woman starts doing, it starts comparing this sheikh to her husband. And then she starts feeling that her husband is not good enough for her. And then problems arise. So these are from experiences that we have dealt with in Muslim homes. So that's why we have to give this warning. Don't say just because it's a sheikh, it's open house. It's all you can eat. No. For women, they can listen to the shuyukh and they can rarely look at them, because this may impact them. Because Iblis always tries to attack us from the weakest points, and the weakest point for Muslims is religion. So he always tries to come in from the religion side, and this is the meaning of the ayah, وَلَآتِيَنَّهُمْ وَعَنْ أَيْمَانِهِمْ وَلَآتِيَنَّهُمْ مِنْ بَيْنِ أَيْدِيهِمْ وَمِنْ خَلْفِهِمْ وَعَنْ أَيْمَانِهِمْ. عَنْ أَيْمَانِهِمْ means from the religion side. So shaitan will always try to put you through fitna from the religion side. So as we said, there are things that the scholars are in agreement that they're haram, like statues of things that have a soul. But statue of a house, it's not a big deal, because this house does not have a soul. Hanging pictures, haram. Angels don't come in there. Videos for religious sermons like this, for example, the correct opinion Allah knows best, because they serve a valid religious purpose, they are allowed. Now, when it goes to people, for example, going on vacation and taking videos, etc., this is not something we can say that it's halal, because there's a lot of evil things that happen as a result. Especially, the women, they get filmed. Other people may see these women. So if you go to a place and you love it, take a picture of the place. There's no need for you to be in the middle of the picture and doing like this. I mean, we want to see the scenes. We don't want to see you. We know how you look like, right? And also, it's not something, it's It's not very manly for a man to start standing doing like this, all these positions. I mean, come on, you're a man. I mean, this is not for men. This is for children and for women, right? So therefore, pictures should be only on a need basis for dire circumstances or to prove a point. But for what they call for memories, we don't see that it's actually allowed. As a matter of fact, it has more harm than good. And many people basically, because of pictures, either they were put through magic. Many people they were put through magic with pictures. You have to understand that. If you go to these soothsayers and you want to do magic to someone, he says, bring me his picture or her picture and tell me the name of her mother. Okay, so they do magic through pictures. Okay, of course they can also do it through personal objects, but pictures are usually the the sure fix for magic, because they hit you right away. And actually, we did catch a bird once that had some magic tied to his legs. And when we opened this magic, it was a picture of a person from far away, subhanAllah. A person about to get into his car. Somebody took his picture and took the soothsayer, and then they're doing magic to this person, and it's to the bird. So, because different people, you know, uh, everything's a science, even magic is a science, right? So basically, these soothsayers, they take the name of the person and the name of his mother, and they see some common letters in them so that they can deduce if this person is one of four categories. If he is from the flying type, or from the water type, or from the dirt type, or from the what is it called? Or from the fire type, right? And if you are from the dirt type, they usually bury the magic. If you are from the flying type, they put it in something that flies. If you are from the water type, they can put it in the sea or something like that. So, this is magic that the shayateen have taught people how to do. So pictures, as we said, is one of the means to make magic to people. I myself found, at least in addition to this, I found one where there's a picture of just a very small picture, very, very old picture. It's a picture from the 80s of a girl, and then there are some stuff that's being done to them. So alhamdulillah, I don't know who this girl is, but alhamdulillah, we destroyed the magic. So I said, look, subhanAllah, and it was in Ramadan. I said, most likely this woman was making dua, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to answer her dua in Ramadan. I don't even know her. So I destroyed that magic. So when the magic is destroyed, the magic is lifted from the person, subhanAllah. So pictures are dangerous in that sense. Another danger for pictures is, for example, if someone has, a son that died, la qaddar Allah, or they separate from a wife or a husband, and they start looking at their pictures. So they feel a lot of remorse, they feel sad, and some of them commit suicide, right? Because of these bad memories that comes back to them because of these pictures. So maybe these may be extreme situations, but these may be some of the harms that pictures have. And again, it's enough for us what the hadith said. And for the people that say that it's only the statues that is haram, we remind them of the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, where Aisha had a curtain. A curtain is not 3D, it's only 2D. Curtain is like a piece of clothing, right? Clothing, piece of clothing. So, the thing is not going to be a picture. And he ﷺ was angry, ripped it off, and he told her to cut it and make it into a pillow on which he can sit down, alayhi salatu wasalam. So as far as pictures are concerned, I think we covered all categories, right? If they are digital, as we said, there's difference of opinion, okay? My opinion is it's best to leave it unless it's necessary, right? If it's printed or statue, this is categorically haram, okay? Okay. So I think that's all we have for this section. Maybe we'll do more questions if you have questions about this subject, brothers.
On the shirt?
Huh?
On the shirt?
Yeah, pictures are haram with a shirt, curtain, something, if it has a soul. And actually, it's a good point you bring this up, because this actually something that we talk about that happens in the masajid. Usually when we pray, if we are wearing shirts that have a lot of writings and pictures and stuff, it distracts other people that are doing salat. The Prophet ﷺ actually had a cloak that that was too bright, colorful. So he gave it to a companion because it did not allow him to have enough khushu' in the salat. And that's why the scholars like Imam Malik, he says that a masjid should not have any green, any pictures, any. And this is why I put this here, because when I pray Quran and these things hanging here, by the way, this has nothing to do with Islam. We're not statue worshippers to have these things in front of us. We don't worship these. A person coming in, he's gonna think this is our God, right? And this is not allowed. And when I stand here and pray, this thing actually takes away from my concentration. So maybe now you understand why I put the hood. I put the hood because I need to concentrate when reciting the Quran. If you see in colors, if you see in these things and light and everything, it actually bothers your khushu', your concentration. So that's why it behooves the Muslims to always go back to the original generations and how they did things. Umar radiallahu anhu, when he said build the masajid, he said don't make red colors, don't make green colors. Okay. Imam Malik rahimahullah, he disliked even having a garden in the masjid. The old masjids, like for example the Masjid Dhul Hulayfa in Medina. If you see, there's like an opening and then there is like a fountain and everything. That's how masajids used to be in the old days. I mean, they were beautiful and everything. But then the prayer hall should be as plain as possible. Should be as plain as possible so that you can have enough khushu', so you can have enough concentration. Because the Prophet ﷺ said about the masajid, he said, surely you will beautify the masajid and you will make it very nice and you will only attend it a little bit. So the masajid is going to be very beautiful, but they're going to be empty of people. Okay, so therefore, for the brothers, if you have the, something that has writing, especially in the back, because the person behind you that may be distracted mostly, if it's a picture, it's actually even worse. Okay, so try to, just like when we go to work, we can't go wearing sandals and shorts, right? And tell them I'm free, right? Your boss will tell them I'm free too. You're fired, right? So similarly, when you come to the prayer, have respect for Allah Subhanahu wa Taala. There's some good attire that a person needs to pray with. And I'm not picking on anyone, by the way, but it's our job is to do nasiha to each other, right? Go ahead. Any other questions? That's it.
The pictures. Some of the kids, the last day of the school, they have pictures. So they are hungry to see the next.
Yeah, if it's Ibn Uthaymeen who's a teacher, it's okay, they can do it. If the teacher is Ibn Uthaymeen, then it's halal. I mean, who are the teachers anyway? So, yeah, the thing is this. Now, the problem with the kids is that when we teach them from the youth to do these things, it's be difficult for them to change that when they grow older, right? But what we need to tell them is, because you really can't force things on schools, etc. You tell them, look, if you have the choice to draw something that does not have a soul, so that Allah Subhanahu wa Taala is pleased with you. Always tie the kids to Allah. By the way, always tie the kids to Allah Subhanahu wa Taala, not to you, because they should have this link with Allah Subhanahu wa Taala. He's always with them. That they love Allah, Allah is guarding them, and they shouldn't do something haram because Allah is watching. Most of us usually we make this attachment with us. If dad is watching, I'm not gonna do it. If he's not watching, I'm gonna do whatever I want. So when you talk to them about these things, because poor kids, they can't help doing what they are ordered to do in school, but you tell them, look, Allah Subhanahu wa Taala likes for you to draw something that doesn't have a soul, so that Allah is pleased with you. Give him positive messages. So Allah Subhanahu wa Taala will set their affairs straight. Any other questions? In the masjid, everything that again, it distracts, but at the same time serves a purpose. So the most that it can do is maybe go to the back of the masjid, right? But then all these things, Quran lessons, everything, this is not allowed in the masjid. The Prophet ﷺ said, anybody calls something in the masjid, may Allah not put barakah in it. Yeah. So these things here, this masjid should be, when you come in, you should feel the khushu'. And there are some musalla, mashallah, here in Toronto that I've been to, they are like that. You go in, it's plain. It's plain. But like these things, they can be like maybe on the side where the shoes are, or maybe by the entrance, because here, it's a lot of advertisements, a lot of pictures, a lot of, it's, yeah.
What about when you ask a donation in the masjid? That's okay?
When you ask donation for the purposes of the masjid, it's allowed. But for you to, for example, say something outside the masjid, the Prophet ﷺ said, if someone comes and said, "Oh, my brothers, I lost my camel. Can you help me find it?" He ﷺ said, "May he never find it." Okay, he made dua against them. So worldly things should not be done in masjid because it's not what masjids were built for. Okay, but things that are related to masjid, for example, my brothers, don't make a mess, don't do this, don't do that, or make dua for this brother, or we need to raise funds for this or that. This is allowed in masjid because it serves the purposes of what the masjid was built for. Yes, good.
I heard that children playing with toys, doll, are allowed to have.
Yeah, Aisha radiallahu anha, when the Prophet ﷺ came once, because she was a young girl, he married her when she was 6, and he consumed the marriage when she was 9. And back then, the Christians did not marry their girls at 9, because if they married their girls at 9, then it would have been allowed today. So we only do what Christians say it's good or it's bad. Okay, because now in Massachusetts the legal age of marriage is 14, right? But in Muslim lands it's 18. Okay. So anyway, this is a different story. So yeah, she was a little girl, and as a little girl, she needed to play. So he ﷺ, when he came, he found that she made a small animal that looks like a horse with wings. So he told her, "What is this?" She said, "This is the horse of Sulaiman." So he ﷺ laughed and said, "The horses have wings." So he did not tell her that it's haram or something, or it's a statue. Now the scholars made two things. Number one, toys back then did not look like toys today. Because especially dolls today, I mean, sometimes they're scary. Look at those big eyes with big eyelashes. Like, oh my God, what's this? Sometimes it looks so real. This is issue number one. Issue number two is that they have given this excuse for girls so that they can learn and practice how to be mothers in the future. So they can, play with dolls. They can have, so why? Because this is what Allah created them for, right? This is what Allah created women for. What Allah created women for? Not to go to the job market. No, that's for men. For them to raise a great generation of Muslims. And look at Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala when He wanted to destroy Fir'aun. When Allah wanted to destroy Fir'aun, what's the first instruction He said? وَأَوْحَيْنَا إِلَىٰ أُمِّ مُوسَى أَنْ أَرْضِعِهِ. Revealed to the mother Musa, suckle Musa alayhi salam. This is your job. The Virgin Mary. What was the greatest thing about her? She bore Isa alayhi salam. This is what Allah created women for. Allah created men for a purpose and women for a purpose, so that life can go justly and in order. But today, everything's interacted. Women do what men are supposed to do. Men do what women are supposed to do. And this is how we fall into homosexuality, because people don't know who's who. Confusion. So they do what the other gender does, even when it comes to intimate relationships, right? So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the first instruction He gave the mother of Musa alayhi salam, suckle him. Okay, and then raise him. So this is what Allah created women for. And when a woman does this, I can tell you that she outdoes the man in his task. When a woman is at home, giving birth to kids, raising them to be real Muslims, in my opinion, she's doing a harder task than the man that's going outside and earning living for the family, right? Because it's very difficult, especially nowadays, especially with the family, with the women, and usually the enemies that come from outside. Why this? Why that? Why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? Why don't you go outside? Why don't you travel? Why don't you drive? Why don't you have a car? Why don't you? All right. So shayateen is sinjin. So therefore, women, they can be a blessing if they follow Allah's law and Allah's teachings on how to be. So therefore, this is given as a rukhsa for them, that they can play with toys as a means to practice how to be mothers, because this is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created them to be, because we need good mothers in this ummah to raise good Muslims, because the mother is the one that raises the next generation, boys and girls. And this is why the enemies of Allah, when they wanted to destroy the Muslim ummah, they targeted the woman. Okay? And even the Christians, you think the Christian women used to go naked like they do today? Just 100 years? Look at the old pictures and stuff. I mean, they all used to dress, wear long dresses, and then when it comes to their the middle size, they had pieces of iron that stuck out of their bodies so that their body shape is not shown. You have seen these pictures? This is how they used to dress, not too long ago. But then again, In Second World War, when the men, actually First World War rather, when men went to war, the factories that remained behind needed workers. So they introduced this concept of a woman's emancipation, setting the woman free. So they started having these advertisements of a free woman being the one that smokes, the one that's wearing long dress, but then it's open in the middle and putting one leg on top of the other. And this is how they took the women out of their homes. They had a problem, which is the kids. If the women went out to work in the factories, who's going to take care of kids? That's why they introduced the schooling system that we know today. They introduced the schooling system so they can take care of kids, so the women can go and work in factories, so that the factory owners make a lot of money. Men are in the war dying, and then the powers to be are benefiting from the society. So don't think that they send the woman to work because they want what's good for her. The woman, east or west, even in the US or anything, they're saying that she's the lowest paid employee. As far as being CEOs and leaders, the percentage of them being women is very, very small. So if there were equality, you would expect something around 50%, right? But most CEOs, most leaders, most Congress people, most presidents, this and that, they're all men. So you really see that in reality, there's no such thing as equality. It's just basically brainwashing for the woman so that she can do what these powers to be want her to do. But in Islam, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created the woman to be a queen, to be a leader, to be the highest level, that to the point that even it is said, it's not a hadith, that heaven is under the feet of the mother, okay? And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given the parents the next highest position after Tawheed. Why? Because the woman needs to do her job. But if the woman does not do her job when her kids are small, she sends them to daycare. They don't get attached to her. So when they grow up, these parents, they need to expect themselves to go to senior citizens' homes. I say this and I repeat it. If you send your kids to daycare when they are small, believe me, they're not going to have attachment with you. And when you grow up, expect to go senior citizens' homes. Same way you didn't do your job with them, they won't do their job with you. Okay? Ibn Uthaymeen rahimahullah says, my son, my kid, I will keep him with me for the first 6 years because this is how he gets attached to me and his mother. But he's 6 months old. I mean, imagine 6 months old in his diapers. He's one of 30. Is he a sheep? And then maybe he needs to cry. Sometimes he gets yelled at. Sometimes he's neglected. So how do you think this kid is going to grow up looking at his parents that threw him in there, that put him in this hardship? He's not going to have any feeling, any emotional attachment with them, not as much as the teachers that are teaching him, right? So therefore, we have to understand that many people, they come to you with the excuse that, well, it's good for them. Send him early so that he can learn early, so that. The benefit of that is outweighed by the negatives. You need to keep your kids with you in the first few years. Talk to them so they can grow as healthy people. They need to grow up as healthy, emotionally healthy. Other than that, there's a lot of